What's going on, you guys? This is Luke with Dark Fiction Factory, and at midnight tonight kicks off the NYC Midnight Flash Fiction Challenge. This is the first time I've ever got involved or competed in a challenge like this. So how it works is you sign up, you pay an entrance fee, and you get put into different groups. And each group at midnight on Friday night gets a genre, a location, and an object assigned to your group. And you have to write a story that is 1,000 words or less with that genre, location, and object. So you might get sci-fi in a forest with a bow, or you might get romance in a diner with a pencil, and you don't know until midnight, and everybody finds out at the same time. So everybody who signs up gets to go through the first 2 rounds. So this is just round 1, and then round 2 I believe is in July. So everybody gets to compete in the first 2 rounds, and then based on how many points you get from the judges and the scoring, you can possibly move on to the 3rd and 4th and final round. So the entrance fee was a little hefty. It was like $55, which might turn a lot of people away, but from what I've read about the NYC Midnight challenges, you can win a lot of money, so there is prize money, and you get a lot of feedback apparently from judges. So that's another thing that I'll be looking to see in my experience here at the end of the day, or at the end of the 2 days, I guess, or at the end of the whole challenge. I want to see if this is something that is worthwhile, is worth the money, and something that I might want to participate in again in the future. And if you want to check out their website, it is nycmidnight.com. I am in no way affiliated with them. I just saw this on a Facebook ad. I did a little research, and it seemed like a really legit, really worthwhile competition, so we'll see. Okay, so I've been doing some other stuff, but now it is officially midnight, and right on time I got the email from NYC Midnight with my assignment, with the 3 things that have to be involved in the story. So I'm gonna click on it right now and see what genre, location, and item we have to include in our story. The email that they send you really gives you all the information you need, it seems. It tells you where to upload, it gives you a lot of frequently asked questions, it pretty much answers anything I was thinking as far as questions. So alright, without further ado, let's click into the assignment. Okay, so here you can see I just clicked on the link that is going to show me what I have to write about. You're looking right at the actual website, so this is what I'm seeing for the first time, uploading your story and confirmation. So it gives you a little bit of information. The email had a lot of information as well, so I'm really liking this so far. I think this seems like really well put together. Let's find my name here. All right, so we are in group 14. We have to write a suspense story. It has to be in a recovery room, and it has to involve a diploma. Okay, I think we can work with that. I don't know where we're going to go with this yet, but I like the idea of suspense because I was a little nervous I was going to get something like comedy or romance, which is really sort of outside of the realm of what I typically write, which is dark fiction, horror, weird, transgressive stuff. So I think getting suspense actually is really good for me because I don't think my writing is always like super suspenseful. I think that's something I could work on. So I'm excited for this, in a recovery room with a diploma. So let's go. So I just noticed this just now, the numbers. It says there's over 4,000 writers participating in 120 different groups with approximately 35 writers per group. So that is a ton of people. First thing I'm going to do is actually just look up definition of recovery room, just to make sure that I know exactly what they mean by recovery room. It's a room in a hospital where patients are placed after they had an operation under anesthesia so that they can be monitored. And I wonder if maybe we could sort of play with that a little bit to make it not necessarily a recovery room in a traditional hospital, but a recovery room in some other way or some other weird setting. So it's a recovery room, but I don't think it necessarily needs to be like in a hospital as you would typically imagine. Okay, so what I'm going to do first, before I start trying to write anything, is I'm going to just sort of brainstorm. So I think what I'm going to start doing is I'm going to go on Google and I'm going to search things like dark art recovery room, dark art college diploma, dark art high school diploma, and start to just sort of soak in some visuals that might spark some sort of idea that I can maybe start to work with and start coming up with some characters and some plot and some ideas for an actual story. I'll put like dark art, recovery room. I'm gonna scroll through some of this art and see if there's anything that sort of catches my eye or sort of just instantly sort of sparks a story. Okay, so it is now Saturday afternoon, Saturday around 4 o'clock. Today I've spent the day really trying to brainstorm a cool idea for this story, and I think I've come up with something cool. It took a while. I was getting a little stressed by about 2 o'clock. I really didn't have an idea that I loved yet, and I was spitballing a few things, and I was struggling with the suspense angle a little bit. And even though I write a lot of dark fiction, suspense is never something that I feel like I've been specifically good at, so that was the big challenge here. The setting in the recovery room, the diploma, I kind of figured out how I could use those pretty early on today, but I think I finally came up with a story. I have a rough draft written now, although it is about 1,170 words. So I'm going to have to cut it down by almost 200 words, but I don't think that'll be that tough. So that's what I have to do tonight. But anyway, the story that I finally came up with is basically about a severe alcoholic who comes from a line of alcoholics. People that all the men in his family have died in one way or another from alcoholism. And he is sort of rescued in a way, or kidnapped in a way, by this mysterious doctor who keeps him in a recovery room, which is a key element that I have to use. But in this sense, instead of like a hospital recovery room, it's like a forced drug recovery room. So I tried to put a little spin on what recovery room really would mean. The doctor has a diploma that hangs on the wall, since I have to use a diploma in some way, and that becomes a key element because it reveals some specific information about the story. So it turns out the doctor is curing him of his alcoholism, but at the same time sort of turning him into something else. So getting that initial idea, getting that initial rough draft down, that turned out to be kind of the hard part for this story. But now that I just gotta kind of go through and edit it and tweak it, shine it up real good, I'm pretty excited. I think we're gonna turn out with something that's worthwhile. Maybe not my favorite story I've ever come up with, but I'm happy with it, and for the first round, hopefully we do well. But yeah, so I'll touch base with you again later tonight as we're cleaning this rough draft up. Alright, so it is Saturday night at about 11:30 at night. We now have a rough draft that you can see here. It's pretty well fleshed out. I just got it under 1,000 words, so it was at 1,200 words, so I had to go through and cut over 200 words out of it. Changed a few things. I don't know. I still have one more day to sort of polish this up. Again, it's really the suspense part, and I'm like really paranoid about that. And maybe I'm okay, but that's something now that the story's pretty much written. I still need to go through and sort of do some like grammar checks on it and whatnot. But the main thing I want to do next is do sort of a pass through on the story and just focus on the suspense. Just focus on building little moments that seem uncomfortable, because right now I think the whole thing just feels a little too comfortable for a suspense story. So I need to go in and sort of make it a little bit more uncomfortable, not such an easy story for the main character. But that's what we're going to be working on now. Again, it's almost midnight on Saturday night. We still have about 24 hours to finish this thing up, so I feel good. I mean, we're on pace of where I wanted to be at this point. We have, a rough draft down. We're under 1,000 words. Okay, so we just finished uploading the story. I spent the entire day today editing, line editing, re-editing. It's 11:50, so I gave myself about 10-15 minutes time before midnight just to make sure it uploaded smoothly and there was no issues or anything like that. And, I uploaded it very quickly. Everything went very smoothly. So as far as the website and the challenge itself and the communication from the website that was running the challenge, everything went very smoothly, so I was very happy with that. Obviously, you're pretty much submitting a rough draft of the story, because most people would, maybe write something in 2 days, but then they would put it aside and come back to it later to, edit it and build on it. But knowing that you have to have it done in 2 days, you have to just realize that it's not going to be perfect. So I'm excited to see how I do, and I'm excited for you guys to be able to check it out yourself once the contest is over. Overall, I had a really good time with this. It was a really fun challenge. I think this is something that a lot of writers could benefit from, just kind of self-enforcing upon yourself. Give yourself 48 hours. Give yourself, a day, 3 days, whatever it is, a finite amount of time, a specific deadline, to get used to sort of working under that pressure and seeing what it kind of cooks up in your mind, and it sort of forces these ideas through. Even if you obviously don't finish a story in 48 hours, to at least have like a solid rough draft that you can come back and work on and polish, it's a really worthwhile exercise, I think. So the stories are all in. I guess we just wait for feedback. The site did say it could take a while since there are thousands of competitors and authors taking part in this challenge. So understandably, if you want some sort of real human response that's any bit worthwhile, that's going to take a little bit of time. So that's understandable. So I'll probably make a follow-up video when I do hear, how I did. When I hear back, I can kind of critique, was it worth it? Did I get some good advice? If nothing else, at least maybe a good critique of my story, some good constructive criticism, perhaps. So we'll see. So overall, yeah, like it was a little pricey, like $55-ish, give or take, to enter, which, again, I think a lot of young or, kind of new, I should say, new writers, not necessarily young, might be hesitant to pay that price to enter something like this. But I mean, I think at some point you have to spend a little bit of money. If this is just a fun little hobby, then maybe don't worry about it. But if you're serious and you're trying to get yourself out there, maybe make a name for yourself, make some connections, I don't think spending like $50 is the worst idea. Like, yeah, it hurts your pocketbook, but at the end of the day, I think you need to invest in yourself. And if you're not willing to invest in yourself, then what are you doing? I'll eventually post the actual story that I did write this past weekend, so that'll be fun to actually be able to share that with you guys. But yeah, until next time, guys, thank you so much for watching. Take care. Peace.